Welcome to Free Soul Awakening, the podcast that invites you to liberate yourself from conditioning, fear, and self-doubt. And remember that your soul was never meant to be caged, it was meant to be free. Hey guys, my name's Ashley, and welcome back to the podcast, or welcome for the first time if you're coming in. I am an evidential medium, and I am your host of Free Soul Awakening. So today we have a returning guest. I wanted to do Guess Who's Back? Back again. Rachel's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Okay, that's enough. Because I'll do the
I
whole
was gonna
song.
dance to the whole song.
Don't hit me. I'll do the whole song.
I'm back.
So Rachel, welcome back. It's
Hi.
very great to have you for this episode. It's going to be exciting.
I know, I'm excited to be back. Feels
Yeah.
good to be back.
Okay, so before you guys do anything, if you can hit that subscribe button or follow on Spotify, YouTube, still can't figure out how to get on the Apple. I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying. Also, announcement. I am going bi-weekly now. So I'm not going to be every week.
Oh.
Yes, I am too busy and it's a lot. And I love the podcast. I love giving you guys this information and having these amazing guests. But, I have a full-time job. I have a 5-year-old. I have other stuff going on the side. So I was like, let me do bi-weekly. It's going to be great. Great content. That's why there wasn't an episode last week. If y'all were wondering, that's why. Okay, guys. So today we are doing a little episode about soul connections, specifically soulmates, karmics, and twin flames. Now, I do want to I'm going to reference the book that we kind of got our information or some information from. But it's called Soul Family and it's by Alex Shaw. And I do like how she describes the soul connections and yeah, there's a lot of good information in the book, especially we are going to talk about twin flames a fair amount. And I do like how she describes twin flames and the meetings, and I kind of agree with her philosophy. Now, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. These are just my beliefs and Rachel's beliefs. So if there's something that you hear and you say, I don't believe in that or that, that's fine. I'm not saying this is what a soulmate is and this is what a karmic is and this is a twin flame and you have to believe in it. Nope. Nope. You want to take it as your own belief, as I have taken, the things that I've read on Google about twin flames and soulmates and karmics, and I've done a lot of research on them and things that I've gotten from this book that I take as my own. Me and Rachel are going to give you some really great information that we received, from our guides, from reading from this book. So, word. Rachel, why don't you just talk about where people can find you, what you do real quick?
So I'm Rachel. I am an evidential medium. I'm a psychic medium. I have a YouTube. I'm Rachel Lightweaver on YouTube. I do one-to-one sessions. I do one-to-one mediumship readings and soul alignment coaching sessions where I tap into the Akashic records and help you align with your life's purpose. And I basically work with my spirit team and your spirit team to help you achieve your desires, whatever that may be, in love and relationships and health and wealth. Yeah, it's really special. But I'm Rachel Lightweaver on everything. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, but I'm Free Soul Ash. So Free Soul _ Ash. Um, okay, so let's get into the episode. Right, guys. So let's talk about soulmates a little bit. So soulmates can be anyone. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner, can literally be anyone. Friend, mom, parents, children, literally anyone. So typically with a soulmate, when you meet them, it's like that you've known them forever.
Mm-hmm.
So this is someone, you ever meet someone and say, "Oh, I feel like I've known you," or you guys are just immediate best friends. You
Mm-hmm.
just click, you get along so well, you're like, "I cannot believe this." That's a soulmate. Now, so so also a cool little tidbit is soulmates can actually be pets as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is great because a lot of people have a very strong soul connection with their pet. And they always say, "Oh, I feel like my pet is my soulmate." Yeah, your pet is absolutely a soulmate. And this is a soul connection. Soulmates are a soul connection. And a soulmate's purpose in your life is to help you grow and support. You guys will support each other, help each other grow, and it's really a great relationship. There's no toxicity. Not that there's not arguing, because if you have a romantic partner, obviously, there'll be arguments here and there, but it really is a great relationship, no matter who it is.
It's like these are the people who, you know, they know your deepest, darkest fears. They know your traumas. They know your goals. They know your aspirations, and you know that theirs. So it's like you know everything about each other. And the best way I can describe it is like there's this depth. They feel like family. They
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
so comfortable to be
comfortable.
around.
Mm.
They feel like home. Yeah, like whenever I talk about the combination, there you can have a soulmate and there be like a karmic soul contract. So this is something like probably icky you may need to work through, but it's not like that the whole time, you know? Like maybe your contract is up
Yeah.
and it's time to let that go. Like you could have been friends with this person since childhood up into adulthood, right? Like there's that depth, right? Like and then like yeah, there might be a point where it's like, oh, like it might be time to let this relationship go and that's usually like your contract is up,
Yeah.
right? And you don't even think like it's something you envision, you think that you'll be friends forever or you know what I mean? Like kind of crazy how that
It is
happens.
crazy how, I mean, I know we're not really doing an episode on soul
Yeah,
contracts,
yeah,
but it
yeah.
is interesting to have a soulmate and then it's like you sign this contract before you reincarnate and it's like, "Oh, we're going to be together for X amount of years. We're going to have these many kids," but then your contract ends because there's lessons that you have to learn with other people, with other relationships. Not all the time, obviously can be together for 25, 30 for the rest of their lives, but typically that's kind of what happens is your contract kind of ends. And same thing with friends too. It's like you're
Mm-hmm.
friends for this amount of time because that's when you need them. They're supposed to be in your life for that specific season, and then your
Mm-hmm.
contract ends. It's like, okay, that's done, or you guys are growing or whatnot. But in terms of soulmates, yeah, I think they definitely push you to become better,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the purposes is they will always support you. They'll always be on your side. And it's interesting because I know a lot of people, even though they might have a lot of animals or have had a lot of animals, there's always like that one animal that's their soul. People will say, "That's my soul dog," or "That's my soul cat." Like they have a very, very intense bond, which is so cute.
So cute. So we haven't talked about Soul Tribe yet, but I do want to just touch on something about Soul Tribe. So Soul Tribes. So we have Soulmates, Karmic, Soul Tribe, Twin Flames, right? Soul Tribe, these are people who you meet who you're on the same frequency as. So it's like, say, Ash, you're a psychic medium, you're spiritual. These are like this is just an example. Like you might meet this friend in yoga class or a meditation class or a sound bath, or I met you in mediumship school.
Yeah. Shout out Rory.
um, you're on the same frequency, and these are people who you don't really there's a sense of non-attachment, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
if you and I
Yeah.
were to not talk for many years and then we got to start talking again, like I highly doubt you would hold that against me, or I would never hold that against you.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
and I'm not, I don't know if you're my soul tribe or not. I don't, we
that's
don't know
okay. We
yet,
don't
but
know.
just like an example,
Yeah.
right? These are people who like support you and cheer you on. And it's not to say that their soul tribe is always like a friendship. It's never romantic and it's never family. And it's not to say that these are like less valuable relationships in your lives, but like just kind of looking at soul tribe and soulmates. Soulmates, there's this depth.
Mhm.
Like, that's my fucking best friend. That's my rider. That's my girl. I would fucking do anything for
Yeah.
her. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So that's just a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
That's
feel
what
like,
I mean by like the depth,
hmm,
like,
yeah, I love a good soul tribe. I do. It's like soul, I mean, it's the book, right? Like soul family. It's part
mm-hmm.
of your soul family. People that you've reincarnated with that you are supposed to meet them at a time where you're more aligned. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty
Um,
healthy. I feel like they're healthy
yeah, they're overall
relationships.
pretty healthy. You do, obviously, you have to work through some things
Right.
like any normal relationship, but yeah, they're pretty healthy for the most part.
All right. Let's talk about karmic relationships. Now, I love karmic relationships because these relationships are our best teachers.
Yes.
These relationships are where we learn the most about ourselves. Now, karmics can also be anybody. When I say anybody, I mean your boss, your mom, your kids, your friends, and romantic partnerships. So, with karmics, if you're in a romantic partnership with a karmic, you can feel an intense connection when you meet them. And a lot of people confuse karmics with twin flames. With a karmic, it's usually a roller coaster relationship. You have highs and lows. It's very turbulent, very toxic, but people confuse it with twin flames because of the pull and the energetic connection that you can have with a karmic. And typically, the sexual chemistry is very strong and very intense. Typically with a karmic too, you'll kind of feel addicted to them. It's it's kind of like that, oh, I don't want to be away from this person, and vice versa. It's very toxic, very
Yeah.
turbulent
That's any toxic relationship is karmic.
is a karmic. And you can have karmic relationships with your boss,
Yeah.
you
I've
know,
had
like,
those. Yeah.
yeah, where it's just awful. But the good thing about karmics is that we learn so much about ourselves because karmic relationships have to end. They do not last. They just don't. They will end, spirit will end them, need be if they need to intervene. But usually it's that you everybody has either been in a karmic relationship or knows somebody that's been in a karmic relationship where they're on and off, it's up and down, they're so in love, then they hate them, but there's a point in karmic relationships where someone is done. And when you get to that point, you go, I'm done. Usually what happens is the attraction, the attachment to that person stops. It ends for typically the one person. What we have to start doing is if we're in these relationships and we get out of them, it's okay, what did I learn? What was my lesson here? Because you will repeat lessons until they're learned. And then once you learn them, it's like, okay, you're done. So it could be a lesson on self-worth,
Mm-hmm.
self-love. If you are in a relationship where they're treating you terribly, Do you think you deserve that? If you think you deserve more, then you need to work on your self-worth. And then when that ends, it's like, wow, I learned so much about what I didn't want, about how I didn't want to be treated, about my self-worth and, self-love, whatever you need to learn from that relationship. Or notice, maybe it's a lesson on noticing red flags and ignoring them. Because what'll happen is if you leave that relationship, if you think spirit isn't going to bring in another karmic to test you, I'm not saying 100%. You could get a soulmate. That would
Like
be
if you
nice.
didn't learn the lesson, you'll just get
Yeah.
it again. Like,
Yeah. And even
like
even if you did
they're
learn,
gonna send you the
sometimes
same person, different body. Yeah.
exactly. And same pattern. So it's like, are you gonna break those patterns and learn your lesson, or are you gonna keep repeating yourself? Also, with a karmic is they won't really support you in your goals and dreams. They it,
Ugh,
it,
yeah, that's like the most hurtful.
they don't want you to grow. Like they stunt your growth in a sense, and that's never good. You really want your partner, or even if it's a friend, to support you, not be jealous of you, not want the best for you. It's a tough one.
I just now came to the realization, like, of being thankful for the karmics
Hmm.
in my life. Now, whereas if I were to have been in like my late, or like mid 20s, late 20s, I would, like, I was very much, and I'm like, like, why did I go? Why do I have to go through that? You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But now I'm like, wow, they literally are catalysts for our growth. This is how we grow. This is how we evolve. They bring out the worst in
Yes.
you.
Yes.
They
And
they
you
literally
them.
bring out the worst in you,
Hmm.
and you bring out the worst in them. You realize like, wow, I
Hmm.
don't want to be that person. you
Yeah.
know?
And typically you don't feel good around them.
Yeah.
You might at first and
It's like a
everything's
drug. It's like a
yeah.
toxic drug.
Yep, those are karmics to the T. You have to be aware of how you feel around the person too. If you're constantly on edge, wondering how they're gonna feel, what their mood's gonna be like, it's never good. You could feel angry or depressed around them. Karmics are also very controlling, manipulative, narcissistic. They can gaslight you. They just don't want
Stonewall
you.
you.
Hmm. They don't want you to be your best self.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about that, and that's why people think that karmics are twin flames because of the pull you feel with a karmic. But a twin flame, the relationship isn't a roller coaster. It's not toxic. Your twin flame will trigger you to become the best version of yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, like they say, people are in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Yeah, I do genuinely believe we were supposed to learn certain things from each other. Like, okay, and then it was like, okay, you learned your lesson. Like, the
Hmm.
universe was like, bye.
Totally.
Okay, juicy stuff. Are we gonna get to the
We're
juicy
gonna
twin
get to the juicy
flames?
stuff. Okay, guys. Here we go. We're gonna talk about twin flames. We're gonna talk about
Headline, twin flames.
twin flames. It's a hot
The
topic.
juiciest
Hmm.
topic.
Yeah,
Trending.
trending, very trending. Okay, so my belief with twin flames is that you have one twin flame and that it is always a romantic connection. There is a lot of stuff out there on the internet that people say that there's multiple twin flames. It doesn't have to be a
Really?
romantic, yeah,
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be a romantic connection.
Hmm.
And for me, I don't believe in that. I don't take that on as my belief. But again, if there's people out there that believe in it, that's great. You're not wrong, but I'm also not wrong in my belief. So it's just my truth, there's your truth, and whoever wants to take my truth as theirs, cool. It's tricky for me because when people say, "Oh, my sister's my twin," it's like,
No.
no.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, like that's
Yeah, that bothers me a little bit, but
yeah, yeah, it's such an
I mean,
intense
unless
connection.
they're like your twin, like identical twin or
Right, then that's
paternal
for
twin.
sure. But yeah, but to grow the way twin flames encourage you to grow, is in a romantic partnership. And I think that's the only way to actually, not that you can't grow with like a sister who's a soulmate who's really close, or even a karmic, like you can absolutely grow, but the way you grow with a twin flame is very different than a soulmate or someone who's going to help you grow in that way. So that's my belief that we only have one and that it's always a romantic connection. The purpose of the twin flame journey is to remind you of who you are. It is a journey back to you. This is not the journey about union. This is not the journey of, oh, I'm on a twin flame journey and I need my twin. So let's get into what the twin flame is, really. So a twin flame is said to be two halves of one soul. Now, I think of it a little differently because I do believe that twin flames come from the same soul. I do believe in that. However, do I think we are one half and we need each other to be whole? No, this is my belief. So I think of it like you have a whole soul, and then there's half of that soul becomes you, but it's a whole soul. And then the other half is your twin, and that's also a whole soul. So when people say, "Oh, I'm half of a soul," it's like, yes, but you're a whole soul. You're a whole soul on your own. And that's I think that's kind of a misconception because especially on the twin flame journey, if you truly are on the twin flame journey, in the beginning, you search for your twin. If you've met them and you're in separation or whatever the case is, you feel like you need them to be whole. And that is not the case. We should never be looking for fulfillment outside of ourselves. We are whole as we are. And we need
But
to,
sorry, but let's be real. Like in the beginning, it takes some work to get there. One thing I just want to say real quick
yeah.
is ultimately, whenever you go to a reader, whenever you go to a twin flame coach or a twin flame teacher, ultimately, no one can tell you if someone is your twin flame or not. That's something you will know
Yep.
on your own. I will say this though, if there has been any type of abuse, like physical, narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, if there's been any type of abuse, that person is not your twin flame.
Yeah.
That's
Agree?
a karmic. Yeah.
Okay. Totally
Because
agree
there's
with
no abuse in a twin flame.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Okay. So when you meet your twin, kind of like a karmic, you recognize yourself in them. There is that intense connection and that magnetic pull. Now, not all the time for twin flames, when you meet, you feel that immediately. It can
mm-hmm.
happen where, well, usually one person will feel the pull, at least one person. And then typically within a short amount of time, you both feel that intense magnetic connection. But it's like you're meeting yourself. And they do mirror you in a lot of ways. Like they will,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will mirror you, but your twin is really someone who holds a mirror up to you and will be like, look, like show you parts of yourself that you don't want to see, that you don't want to work on, and they will trigger you as well. And a lot of times with twin flames, you have similar likes, similar dislikes. You may have the same personality. I've even heard that some twin flames look alike, which I find interesting. I've heard that they look alike. There's also I've read before, you typically meet your twin when either of you are married or either one of you are married.
Mm.
There's a large geographical distance between you, or you have a large age gap. Those
Mm-mm.
are not requirements, but those are things that I've heard that can happen when you meet your twin, or you guys live really, really far apart, or you were married, just something. But there's definitely an intense connection, and it's like you want to be around them all the time. They become your best friend, and then you get into a relationship. So there are stages to the twin flame journey. So if you think that you might be on the journey, these are good to look at. Even if you go to Google, there's there's stages of the twin flame journey. Now some say there's 7 stages, 8 stages, 13 stages, but really they're all kind of the same. It's just some people add other stages in there. So let's get into them. Stage one is yearning. So this is a sense of longing that a part of you is missing. Um, you kind of feel like you're missing something, and you're really yearning for like that other half of you, even though you don't really understand what it is, or you're looking for a missing piece of you, even if you don't think it's a person. It's like, okay, I'm missing that. I'm just missing something. So sometimes with twin flames, I found this interesting that sometimes their energies cross before actually meeting. So maybe you guys live in the same state and you've maybe crossed each other when you're crossing the street, or you feel that energy, and then that's kind of when the yearning starts. Now it doesn't have to happen this way, but it's an interesting concept to think about. Even maybe someone's traveling, and even if your twin lives, across the US or in a different continent, maybe they were traveling here and maybe your energies cross paths that way. But I find that interesting. So you have the yearning stage and then you have the meeting stage. Now, again, we've talked about this a little bit. This is a soul recognition. This is like, I know this person, I recognize this person's soul, and it's like you've met yourself kind of. And it can mimic a karmic. Again, it can mimic that strong, intense connection of a karmic. So that's why people confuse them. But this is a very powerful, energetic connection that you will have with your twin.
Yeah, and it's like so just to be clear, there's no abuse in a twin flame journey. However, and yes, it can be up and down and it can be painful, but there is also this strong sense of unconditional love from
Yeah.
each, like on both ends,
Hmm.
which is the so weird, right?
Yeah.
Like that's funny.
So, um, stage three is this is the testing stage. So this is where your connection will be tested and issues arise. Okay, so your twin will trigger you to become your best version. And a lot of times this can be scary because your twin kind of holds up a mirror to you and to the parts that you may not want to look at. And so it's forcing you to start this healing journey and look at your trauma and look at your triggers. And to some people, that can be very scary. So that's when triggers are, you'll start fighting with your twin. Again, not toxic,
Yeah,
just the
not
fact that
toxic, but
yeah,
yeah.
you may not want to heal, or if, you have a fight response, like a trauma response, and maybe you have core wounds that need healing, and they're gonna force you to look at that, and vice versa. You will do it for each other, and this is where issues arise with twin flames. So typically, this is when you will enter separation. So if you are together, you'll break up. And again, I just want to reiterate, there's no physical abuse, narcissistic abuse, and there's no roller coaster relationship. This is not up and down, blah, blah, blah. It may be you fight,
It,
break up,
I
and
think
like,
it can be it can be up and down. It
but
can
not
be, but not,
like we're a karmic, like a
yes,
toxic,
not like a toxic karmic
where it's
relationship
like
where
constant
there's
fighting.
obviously no potential for the evolution of growth on either end,
Yeah.
basically. There's no, like, you're gonna stay in this pattern, like this toxic pattern. For it's not like that, but there can be up and down, but
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
toxic.
It's not like turbulent like a karmic. So your twin is going to trigger you into healing. So if you don't want to look at parts of yourself, which typically that's what happens, then you guys go into separation. People, both the divine masculine and the divine feminine need to do their part. Because if the divine feminine is healing and the divine masculine comes back in and they are very unhealed, there's going to be a mismatch. So now the feminine can support the masculine in their healing, and maybe the masculine with being the feminine is like, wow, now that we're back together, I actually want to heal, like I want to be better for you. But if the masculine just wants to stay with a third party in a karmic and he or she is not doing their work, then it's not going to work. Separation is typically a complete separation. Like you guys usually will not speak. Usually the chaser blocks the feminine or unfollows or whatnot. This is a crucial part of the journey, especially for the feminine. So this is one of the things that will separate a karmic from a twin flame and a soulmate from a twin flame. Because a lot of people too are like, this is my soul or this is my twin flame, and what they're describing to me is a soulmate. They never go through the separation phase. A separation phase is crucial to the twin flame journey. So if you've never been in a separation, I don't mean like a couple weeks where it's like, oh, we didn't know. No, no, no. Like separation lasts years.
Yeah.
Years. It lasts a very long time.
The feminine, whenever you guys are in separation, the feminine, regardless of gender role, you could both be
Yeah,
women or whatever,
both
you
be
could both be
men.
men. Regardless of gender role, there's always a masculine, there's always a feminine, like we kind of talked about. But when in separation, this is when the feminine learns what she needs to know. I do believe there's a mix though, because there's still a lot she learns when in, but for the most part, she
Yeah.
learns what she needs to learn to evolve while in separation. When together, this is when the masculine like really learns too. But there's still things that they need to work on themselves when in separation. Does that make
Yes.
sense? Okay.
Yeah, totally agree. So again, like Rachel said, there's a divine masculine and the divine feminine, and we're gonna get into the runner chaser dynamic. But so the divine masculine usually runs from the connection, and the divine feminine chases the connection. So in separation, what happens is the divine feminine will have this spiritual awakening. And on the twin flame journey, your twin is a catalyst for your awakening. And they will usually they'll come across the term twin flame and start to really research twin flames. They might have spiritual gifts that open up. Usually during separation too, there's a dark night of the soul where everything kind of crumbles down and you feel really lost. And dark night of the souls, it's it's really about finding yourself again. And this separation for the feminine is really, really, really important because this is the time where she is going to look inward, do a lot of soul searching, and find who she is on a soul level. And that is really, again, what your twin does is it's the journey back to you. So it's not union. We're not looking for this like end goal of like, okay, union. It's this journey back to who you are on a soul level, which is beautiful. And that's typically what happens in separation. And usually the masculine ends up with a karmic. So they usually will leave the feminine and then go right into a karmic relationship because, they have their own wounds, they don't want to heal, and that's just the case. So now we talk about the runner chaser dynamic. So again, the runner is the masculine, the chaser is the feminine. And in the beginnings of separation, it might even be a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't know. But there is this obsession of the twin, getting your masculine back. And you learn. I think that the feminine really learns eventually over time that she can't chase the masculine and that's not going to bring the masculine back. And in this situation, what the feminine really will do is heal her trauma wounds, generational trauma. Again, maybe she has gifts that awaken that she starts to hone in on, and then she'll start to realize, she's whole herself. She's whole without her masculine. She is in her self-love era, and it's a really beautiful beautiful time for the feminine. Now the masculine I think does feel that pull. I think he does feel that energetic connection, he or she. But they run from it because it can be intense. And a lot of times during this period, the divine feminine can feel a strong pull towards them. They will have dreams about them. They will see flashes of what they're doing, or they'll see a lot of synchronicities. And I'm not sure about the runner. I think they do feel that to a certain extent, but typically will dismiss them. It's like, oh, it's whatever, it's just a weird coincidence, but it's not. And sometimes, the runner may feel their energy. They may feel them as if they're standing right next to them. So these are typical things that will happen in separation and during the runner chaser dynamic.
So I've been doing a lot of twin flame readings on YouTube and twin flame coaching for clients. And I've been helping clients snap out of the obsession. And it's easier said than done, especially in the beginning. It's like you're constantly watching these readings, right, on them. And it's like you're just like hooked on their energy. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
you could literally feel like they can feel each other's energy. Like they're like,
Yeah, twin flames can absolutely.
and they get glimpses of each other and like what they're doing, what they're feeling. It's like telepathic, like
Hmm.
it's it's wild. And so what I've kind of been helping people, one specific client do is like help her like snap out of the obsession. And I'm like, okay, music. Like anytime you start thinking about this person, like start listening to music or dancing or because that's self-care. That's like feminine
Yes. Hmm.
embodiment. That's getting back to you and your self-love rather than giving your energy to this person when you need to be focusing on you right now. Because it's like yes, you could be in separation, but you're kind of still chasing them energetically. If you find, what is your opinion on, like, okay, let's say that someone's found out they have a twin flame. Should they tell them? Should they tell their
No,
twin? Yeah. I've heard some people say I wouldn't recommend it either,
I think that's
especially
that's
if they're
going,
not spiritual. Like,
yes, that's going towards ego. That is your ego. That's like, I have to tell them because if I tell them, then they're gonna fall in love with me and be like, oh my God, that is totally ego
yeah.
driven.
Yeah.
To It's divine timing, divine intervention. If it's supposed to happen, it will. And I think if you told your twin, especially if you're in that runner chaser dynamic or if you're in separation, it's not going to help anything.
Hmm.
So it's your ego and your mind going, oh my God, if I tell them they're going to come running back, and that's not the case. You can actually push them further away and then be like, you're crazy. Like, this is not it. So
Hmm.
I don't recommend. I think that's just you not trusting in whoever you want to call your higher power, God or the universe. And, if you are manifesting union to you're not trusting in them to do that. You're trying to take destiny into your own hands, and I'm telling you right now, it's not going to work.
Hmm.
It's not going to work.
So as far as polarity goes, in I honestly believe this in any relationship. Like this is just my belief. Like there has to be a masculine and a feminine. Particularly in a twin flame relationship, you have the runner and the chaser. The chaser is typically, well, always, right? The feminine, the divine feminine.
Yeah.
And the
Hmm.
masculine is always the runner. And this is regardless of gender roles. You could be a woman, this could be two women, this could be two men, but there has to be polarity. There has to be polarity. So if this divine feminine is chasing this masculine, they're going to be repelled. They're going to be repelled, and you are not going to, it's going to delay the progress that they're making on working on themselves. Okay, so it's like magnets. And then, you know, if you, the feminine is all about receptivity, letting things come to you. You
Hmm.
are like the magnet, right? So if you're chasing, it's like you're in a masculine energy that's not right with you. That's not right with your energy. Now there are times where like if you both want to be together, like there could be like a stagnancy, but for the most part it's like the feminine is to attract the masculine in, and it's not, this is not about playing games. This isn't about like, oh, I need to ignore so and so to get them to come to me. This is not like game playing at all. This is about polarity. It's literal polarity. You are the feminine. The masculine is supposed to come to you. The masculine is supposed to take action. The masculine is supposed to step up. You are the feminine. You receive. And it's not, I'm not saying be submissive or,
Yeah.
this is like the Empress type of energy. Like if you're familiar with tarot, the Empress doesn't chase, she attracts.
Okay. So then we have the stage number 6, which is surrender. So this is literally when you surrender to the journey, when you know that you are whole without your twin, when you release that attachment to them, when you stop obsessing, when you start just focusing on yourself and your self-love and know that, you know, who you are on a soul level is the most important thing. Just surrender to the journey, stop chasing and start focusing on you. Because again, that's really what it is journey to you. And if you're obviously the last stage is union. So union is when you and your twin come back together in the 3D and you guys can be a very powerful force. Your goal is to kind of heal the world, and your feminine will typically have gifts and want to help heal people, and I think the masculine can feel the same, especially when you guys are together, but both parties have to do the work. You both have to start healing, stop chasing, and practice non-attachment to really everything, but especially your twin if you really do want union. So live freely, guys. But
Mm-mm.
that's it. That's our episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Okay, guys, so this is our segment where we're gonna pull a card, and Rachel's gonna pull a card for us. All right,
Okay.
Rach, what we got?
Just gonna set my intention. Vulnerability, of course, to go
Mm-hmm.
perfect
Yep.
with our episode. I'm also seeing the Lovers and my clairvoyance, which is the ultimate twin flame card. So I haven't even pulled the tarot yet, but what I'm getting already is this is intimacy. This is intimacy. This is you being intimate with yourself and feeling safe with yourself, and you sharing parts of yourself to another person to where they make you feel safe too. And that is like the ultimate union. So I feel like they're giving me chills. So I mean, really, you need that on both ends to be able to come into union with your person. Like there may be masks that need to be shed to to
Yeah.
get there, but vulnerability is really like that is true intimacy. Like that is true intimacy, being safe to show your true self, the deepest parts of yourself, the worst parts of yourself, and like being seen by the other person. Like that will bring you into union. Um, maybe I feel like that's like for, and take that as it resonates. The High Priestess. And it's coming in reverse. So I feel like those of you who are on a twin flame journey, either of you on this journey, you're not using your intuition. And there's a deep need to go inward and look within yourself. And I'm hearing, and you need this to come into intimate union within yourself. So, just like Ashley was saying, you have to come into union with yourself to be able to come in union with this person. Like, that's first and foremost. The twin flame journey is about you coming into union with you, and you have to tune into yourself, tune out the noise from all around you, like externally speaking. You kind of have to put your blinders on what everyone's thinking and saying around you, and you kind of just have to tune in to what's right for you and what feels good for you, despite what may be societally accepted. Yeah, listen to your gut, listen to your hunches, your inner guidance system.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever needs this message isn't listening to that. Like, and it's kind of causing a little bit of a, so hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks, Rach.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that was our episode. So I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I'm bi-weekly now, so yeah. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, guys.
Bye.